You know what? Everyone wants to own a home.
They do.
They do. And they don't care if they pay 7% interest rate.
They don't.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. Ray, could you tell us what we're seeing?
Absolutely. As we've done in the past, we've used numbers for the entire Northern Virginia area, and they're created by Market Stats. Showing Time is our service that allows us to make appointments to get in a property, and they're kind enough to be able to share their statistics. It's kind of interesting to note these are based a lot of times on the number of requests and appointments that are set up to show these properties. So without further ado, in Northern Virginia, the median sold price, now these are February numbers, is $585,000.
And this is actually up 2% from last month and also up 2% from last year.
The number of homes sold in February was 1,707.
And that is up 26% from last month, but down 25% from last year.
The average days on the market in the whole Northern Virginia area was 32 days.
And that's down from last month, and also it's up from last year.
The median square foot cost was $288.
That's down 0.7% from last month, but up 1.42% from last year.
And lastly, a number that I think we're pleased to share with you is the number of homes for sale was 2,090.
And that is about the same that it was last month. There were just 5 more homes for sale, and it's actually up 38% from last year. So those are the statistics that we're seeing. Ray, I know you did a little bit more research. Could you tell us what you found?
Absolutely. As traditionally we dive into some numbers that are a little bit more local. Northern Virginia encompasses a vast amount of demographic area. So Denise and I think it's always interesting to become a little bit more, not necessarily micro, but certainly a little bit more focused in our local area here, primarily in Loudoun County and in Prince William County. As we've shared many times, it's ironic how close these two areas are to one another. So it gives us kind of like an overview as to what's happening. The number of homes on the market in Loudoun County now has just eked up over 400. In Prince William County, it's a little less than that. It's 345. The number of properties under contract, and this is always a good indication, it's very much dependent on what's available in the marketplace for sale, but that seems to be doing better as well. So we're at just shy of 500 here in Loudoun County, and then Prince William County is actually above 500, it's 561. Okay. And another note that we're seeing, and this is kind of a statistic that we've kind of dived into a little bit before, is to seeing what's happening about mid-month with regard to the number of properties that have closed. Mm-hmm. February's closed numbers were down because inventory was down, so they were just slightly under 300 closed for the entire month of February, which is remarkably low number, especially in this area, of course, that we work in. So there was just under 300. So far this month, I think we're seeing a positive because we should be able to outdo that 300 because the statistics during the month of March have been good with regard to closed properties. And we tend to see the bulk of the properties settling towards the end of the month versus the beginning of the month. Prince William County is doing just the same. I mean, they had just over 300 properties settle in February.
And I'm glad you talked about that because one of the things that agents are seeing is even though the interest rates have gone up, agents keep talking about multiple offers. The days on market keeps going down on certain properties where they're going under contract on 2, 3, 4 days, they're gone.
We keep hearing these stories.
It's happening again. And the same thing that Ray talked about, which was the list of sale price. So buyers have to go in expecting that if they have competition, they'll have to pay more than the asking price. So all of this sounds very familiar, stuff that has happened in the past.
It does.
And I think what the message is that people still want to own homes. And they, like Ray said last week, yes, I'll pay 7% now, but eventually rates will go down and I can always refinance later
Yeah.
on. The demand is here.
It's still holding.
It's still holding. And
Yeah.
I think that's the big message that we want to tell everyone, is that people are still buying and the demand is there.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot, and you and I talked about this actually earlier this morning, in which last year when we started to see the marketplace escalate in value, there was again a lack of inventory, high demand from buyers, that the expectations from the buyers, and I think a lot of that too is the expectations from the real estate agents that are working with the buyers. It's not as though their expectations became diminished in that they expected a lot less, but they just kind of started to rein in what their expectations were with price is going to be. So that we saw multiple offers that were driving the numbers up. So you may have a list price of a property around $600,000, but a lot of the buyers and the agents were anticipating that that number was going to go up. So many of the agents, many of the buyers started to anticipate, okay, so why don't I look at properties that are maybe listed below 600,000 with the anticipation that the price is going to be driven up. So again, it was an affordability issue, I think,
Yes.
ultimately. And as we talked about this morning, it's probably, we're seeing the same thing with the interest rates, right?
Yes.
So that people's affordability, because the interest rates are still high, even though we anticipate that they will come back down, people's expectations for what they're going to receive may stay the same, but from a, if you will, a budgetary or just trying to watch their dollars, their monthly payments,
Right.
their understanding is going to be a little bit more expensive to buy in this marketplace. So instead of looking perhaps at that 600 number, they're looking a little lower and still finding great quality homes in our areas, but then being able to afford that monthly payment.
Yes, so I think, like Ray was saying, they can't afford what they thought they could afford last year. That number has gone down, but it's still better than renting, and they understand that.
That's very true.
I think that's the big message.
Yeah. So again, we hope that this information has been not too boring, not too grueling for you to listen to. And we hope that you'll continue to stay tuned in with us. We always suggest subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll hope to see you real soon.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.